Coming up on this week's News by Muse, Ryan Gosling receives the Kirk Douglas Award for Excellence in Film at the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Hear what Steve Carell, Greta Gerwig had to say about Ken. Also, we check in on this week's box office winners, Mean Girls and The Beekeeper, what the stars of the musical said on the pink carpet, and what the creative team behind the new action flick said about working with Jason Statham. All that and more on this week's episode. Hello again, and thank you once again for joining me. As always, I'm your host, Manny Gomez, and we took a little bit of an extended break, but we are back with a vengeance as film festivals, award season, and so much more is happening in the world of entertainment. We have no time to lose, so let's get started. We're going to start with the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, where on Saturday, Ryan Gosling received the Kirk Douglas Award for Excellence in Film. And we heard from him on the red carpet and how the Barbie world collided not only with his career, but with his personal life all at once. Take a look.
At one moment, I was sort of, building a Barbie's dream house in my, for Christmas. And then the next, 6 months later, I was in it, and it was real. And this whole, incredible universe had been realized by Greta and Margot. And, my kids, Barbie landed at my house all at the same time. So it was just kind of the script and just Barbies in general. So it was an amazing opportunity to sort of, work on something that they were interested in, and just to work on something that was so brilliant as well.
During the evening festivities, some familiar faces spoke about Gosling, including his co-star in Crazy Stupid Love, the always funny Steve Carell.
Ryan Gosling is a delightful guy. He's polite. He tends to keep to himself. He's professional. He's respectful of others. There are many, many nice things that I could say about Ryan Gosling, but that's not why we're all here this evening. Tonight I'd like to ask the question, why do I hate Ryan Gosling? Some people find him moderately handsome. But I don't know, not my type. When I worked with him, he was actually very embarrassed that everyone was making such a fuss over his godlike physique. He would say, I only worked out because my character works out. Enough break.
The award was then presented by his director on Barbie, Greta Gerwig, who described working with him and compared him to many other greats in Hollywood history.
I love, and everyone loves, referencing other actors when I talk about Ryan, because he is such a delicious and totally unexpected combination of genius. He has the burning intensity of Marlon Brando. He has the exquisite comedic pain of John Barrymore, the tragic realism of Montgomery Clift, and the virtuosic showmanship of John Travolta, and the sly wit of Gene Wilder. I've never met someone that understood what I'm trying to do so quickly. After sending him the script, he and I got on the phone, and from the moment we started talking, he just understood. Noah Baumbach and I had written the part of Ken for Ryan, and there would be no Barbie if he hadn't come to be our Ken. And somehow, he knew exactly what the role required instantly. Once he was in, it was a commitment beyond anything I could have dreamed.
During his acceptance speech, Gosling recapped how films impacted him growing up during a time when he was homeschooled.
The directors, Cecil B. DeMille, Arthur Lubin, Jean-Christophe Avarti, Franklin J. Schaffner, Gary Marshall, and Stanley Kubrick were kind of like substitute teachers. The actors, Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner, Edgar G. Robinson, Hedy Lamarr, Abbott and Costello, the Andrews Sisters, the Beatles, Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell, and the great Kirk Douglas became sort of de facto classmates. That whole experience, the filmmakers, the actors creating their own stories, my mother taking me out of school to show me how to create my own story. Even at an early age, film had opened a door that led to a world where daydreaming didn't mean you were wasting time, it meant that you were doing your job. A job I could not wait to do, a job I started doing right away. You know, if you count putting on hammer pants and dancing at the mall. I dreamed of one day making movies, and now movies have made my life a dream. So the way I see it, there's no way I've contributed half as much to cinema as cinema has contributed to me. But the idea that I might have given something back to the thing that has given so much to me is too great an honor for me to express.
Next up for Ryan Gosling is an action comedy which he stars alongside Emily Blunt titled The Fall Guy, which will be in theaters March 1st. Looked like that was probably a really, really good time. Now in box office news, the big winner of the holiday weekend is the musical retelling of a classic, Mean Girls, bringing in about $32 million over the 4 days. We heard from some of the cast and creators at last week's pink carpet premiere. Take a listen.
Mean Girls in 3 words is fun, flirty, and pink.
This cast is so strong. They're so great. And the weird thing is they kind of all, the movie's been around like their whole life. And so we, go to like talk about, okay, this scene, here's what's happening. And they're all like, we know what's happening. Like, it's, and yet they all were really able to make these parts their own. And I was so comforted if I was going to go back, and I was so comforted to have Tim Meadows with me. Like we'll go back together.
Mean Girls, you have to see it in the cinema just to appreciate every single bit of detail that went into creating this movie. I'm talking costumes, hair, makeup, set design, choreography. It's designed to be seen on a big screen.
I think it's good to reintroduce it again so people can see all of the things that are relatable to in schools, things that kids go through, and I think it's just good. It's a good refresher.
In second place this week at the box office was David Ayer's action thriller, The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, one of my favorite action stars. It made about $19 million domestically, but it has received several positive reviews from audiences. It was just a lot of fun. I spoke with some of the creative team about working with established stars like Statham and Ayer.
It makes Jason, he's a privilege to work with because he's very athletic and he's very coordinated. And he just knows certain fights, like it's like I told him it's like a dance, just remember the beats and everything else, and we can just go from there. And that's exactly how he did it. And he remembers the steps, and that's what helps, the stunt performers who are fighting him or interacting with him and some of these actions. It helps create a better vibe and a very nice, smooth move. So we get a good performance out of both of them. And to have Jason do it himself is even better for the directors. They just love it. It's just one take instead of it being cuts,
It's wonderful when you work with a director that has got a vision. And that's the reason why this film is wonderful, because it comes with corazon, comes with a vision, comes with an idea, the color, the palette, the position of the camera, the way that we're going to shoot it, the way that we're going to try, the precision in which we're going to do it. And the fact that Jason Statham, on his own right, is that he's a precise actor. He really studies what he needs to do. He's not only just an action star that trains and knows how to lift his leg and throw a punch. He actually works on the little subtle and nuanced elements that they are in his performance. And that is absolutely wonderful.
And in third place, Wonka was able to bring in an additional $11 million, allowing it to surpass $500 million globally. Congratulations to the team on that benchmark. In fourth place was Anyone But You at over $8 million. And in fifth was the animated feature Migration with also a little bit over $8 million. Now we're going to turn our attention to TV, where an NBC series is wrapping up with season 3. And of course, we're talking about La Brea. Our Michael Sandoval caught up with the cast. Check it out.
It actually mirrored my life a bit, in the sense of this was my first big show, and I was 17 when I first started doing this. And so it was a bit like I had a bit of Izzy in myself as I was trying to figure everything out, figure my life out, figure out how to be an actor, figure out my shit while she was, my stuff while she was figuring out her stuff. And I've always been very protective of Izzy and of her integrity. And I think it's really cool to see how far she's come in being independent and not just following along in her dad's shadow.
I think what's really cool about this show and these characters is, the stakes in terms of the world are high from episode 1, right? And, we start with the ground literally collapsing into itself in LA. But by this season, the stakes are higher than ever because these relationships have developed that weren't there before, and that's more important to these characters than any of those things ever were.
It was a lot of fun. This last season was, in particular, a lot of fun, and I think it's because of the fact that we had a shortened season, so there was a lot that was crammed in to try and get done. How it feels, it's it's bittersweet, you know what I mean? It's because I love working with this crew, this cast, and everyone, and I think it's a fun show, something that could have a lot of years on it. You know, I think it could develop nicely and be something that people follow. And
season 3 feels really grounded in an amazing way. Like Rohan is saying, we've established these relationships and these circumstances so deeply now that we can sort of just start figuring ourselves out even further and figuring out the world more. And, you know, the stakes never change. The stakes are always life or death. They're always the highest they could possibly be. But I think it's really fascinating to watch as these people are more sure of who they are down in this 10,000 BC world.
Speaking of final seasons, Letterkenny on Hulu wrapped up its 12th and final season. Made me really sad to see this Canadian comedy show go, as I've enjoyed it very, very much. I was able to catch up with the cast as they reminisced about filming this final season and kind of what they hope may happen in the future. Check it out.
It was a tremendous honor for me. You know, when I read the scripts, you know, for myself personally to have that moment for Stuart, and then for Stuart the character to have a second opportunity to throw the party, the biggest party that Letterkenny's ever seen. You know, previous season, obviously he attempted to do that and it didn't go according to plan, and to have a second chance, a redemption story. And have the entire community in town of Letterkenny back him was incredibly emotional. You know, to have a large majority of the cast that on set that day, filming the scenes. You know, we were dancing, we were laughing. It was tremendously emotional, and it was an honor.
This whole last season was bittersweet. You know, the decision was made for us, not by us. I think a lot of us still had a few more stories we thought we were going to tell, and you know, I was quite sad to hang up those overalls for the last time, and it was, you know, I actually just finished watching the last season. It took me a couple tries to get through it. Wasn't easy. And it was very bittersweet to shoot it. It was very bittersweet to watch it. It ended up, you know, it was very beautifully done, edited, filmed, written, acted. Everything came together perfectly. But it's still sad to see it go. It's been over a year since I've set foot in Letterkenny, and it was a big part of my life for 8 years. So it's strange not having it there anymore.
Really cool, I think, arc for us to experience, where we did become vulnerable and we did, you know, wear our hearts on our sleeves. And I think the motivation for Riley and Jonesy, which always was to treat Katie well in this world where the hockey players are known for being such scummy guys when it comes to relationships and how they treat other people. For them to come full circle and really make an effort to show this one person they care about more than anything that they are there for her and they will be there for her. I think it's a metaphor for the show and the cast of like, hey, even though this thing's over, like we did something together special and there's love here for everyone. And as you know, Wayne's character said, the grass is pretty green in Letterkenny. I would love to see this story and these characters revisited, and I think the doors were left pretty well open for that to happen. So the future is unwritten, we shall see.
Without the support that we've received over the years, and such loyal, involved support at that, none of this, you know, would have happened. None of this would have been possible. We wouldn't have been renewed. We wouldn't have gone on tour. We wouldn't have had merch. We wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like they're all just as a part of this as we are. And I guess I just want to thank them for riding with us and being so lovely. Every single person I've crossed paths with who have complimented the show, wanted to talk to me about it have been just these lovely human beings. And yeah, it's so appreciated.
You can catch all 12 seasons of Letterkenny on Hulu. Hopefully we see the cast back in some sort of form, maybe a season down the line, given how popular the show is and how open they are to coming back. But till now, we'll wait and see. And there's always rewatching it for all the jokes you may have missed. If you guys know me, you guys know how much I love wrestling. WWE, AEW, anything you put in front of me, wrestling-wise, I'm all for it. With that said, last week, Discovery debuted a new series following the stars of Micro Wrestling Federation titled Big Little Brawlers. It's a fantastic series that wrestling fans are not going to want to miss out. I spoke with some of the stars about their work in the ring. Check it out.
This Big Little Brawlers will be, I believe, the first ever little person wrestling program in the world that puts wrestlers like us on a pedestal as far as putting disabled people, what society views as looking different, will be viewed as a superstar. We have the biggest, larger than life personalities in this company. I would put the wrestling that you're going to see, the athleticism that you're going to see, over anything that you see on TV. That's no disrespect to anybody on TV. That's just, these guys are always viewed as here their entire life. They have something to prove. So when they go out there every single time for 550 shows a year on the road, these guys deliver the 5-star matches every night.
What are some of the keys in working together and living together? Because you guys have the opportunity to beat each other up on purpose. Something I'm sure that many other couples around are like, man, I wish I could jump off the top rope on him one time. What is that dynamic like? Or is it therapeutic, honestly?
It's definitely therapeutic in a way. Like, that might sound crazy to some of y'all, but it's when you're able to let your frustrations out in a way where you're professionally trained to do so, it definitely helps, because I know there's been times when he's made me really mad and we have to wrestle each other, and I still have to be professional and do everything proper, but I'm still able to take it out on him, and that's the person that made me mad, so it's the best.
It's a form of therapy and venting all in one.
Per usual, you can catch all these interviews in their entirety on our YouTube page or on our website, musetv.net. And you're not going to want to miss out next week's episode, because I will be highlighting some projects that are featured in this year's Slam Dance Festival. I'm talking with creators, I'm talking with actors about their passion projects and what it means to them to be part of the festival. It's going to be a great time. Again, be sure not to miss out. Thank you for joining me again with News by Muse. I'm Manny Gomez.